As a new leader, the immediate instinct is to brace for impact. You feel an overwhelming pressure to predict every variable, hold all the weight alone, and somehow control the way the whole world goes. I learned this the hard way. Early on, I thought carrying the entire burden silently was the definition of responsibility. But when you try to muscle through every challenge without trusting the people around you, the pressure doesn't make you stronger, it breaks you down. We inherited an outdated blueprint for management. This old archetype suggests to prove your worth, you must be louder, colder, and harder than everyone else. Visualized as a rigid top-down hierarchy, it looks strong on paper, but under real-world stress, deep fractures start to form. The critical flaw is its inability to bend. When variables shift even slightly, the entire monolith snaps and collapses into disarray. Surviving that collapse required a completely different approach. True resilience requires the unlearning of total control. Instead of gripping tighter to power, you must build something entirely new, an architecture of calm. Building that architecture begins internally. Before you can direct a team through external chaos, you have to establish a solid foundation within yourself. This means accepting that you don't need perfection to move ahead. You don't need to be omniscient. Finding calm inside your chest requires the courage to stand completely still and trust what you already know, even as the environment races around you. You can lead without knowing everything. It is entirely possible to trust your own judgment to make the next right move while simultaneously acknowledging to your team that you are still learning. Think of this internal foundation as a gravitational center. In this model, a solid, heavy inner core of self-trust anchors the system. This core is the prerequisite for absorbing professional pressure. It provides the steady gravitational pull that keeps the outer rings, your team, orbiting smoothly. Shedding the armor of perfectionism is what actually gives you the strength and soul to navigate. When the road gets foggy, that internal gravity is what allows you to move forward. Once that internal gravity is established, the focus shifts to the people in the room with you. The old archetype demanded a single, dominant voice, but a steady leader recognizes that every voice can bring another view. You rely on the fact that different minds, working together, create the truth. Intentionally inviting those differences changes the energy of how people respond. By bringing genuine empathy to the table, you actively neutralize fear. When team members know their views are valued, workplace tension diffuses naturally. Organizational researchers call this psychological safety. Intentional empathy links diverse minds into a highly responsive web, replacing rigid control. When an external shock hits, this flexible network bends to distribute the force evenly across all nodes, preventing a system failure. Empathy, in this context, is a highly strategic architectural tool. It takes a collection of isolated, stressed individuals and unifies them into a resilient, truth-seeking force. We can see the ultimate test of this architecture. When the stakes are highest, when pressures mount and the road is completely unclear, difficult decisions still have to be made. The destructive instinct is to frantically react, to lash out or freeze when things get heavy. But a grounded leader executes an intentional response, reading the board and moving steadily. By combining that internal self-trust with the empathetic network of your team, you remove panic from the equation. You can step into a difficult choice with absolute clarity. This is what it means to handle pressure professionally. It requires continuous awareness, endless patience, and the maturity to look at a complex problem without resorting to brute force. The ability to make hard decisions peacefully is the highest form of professional power. It proves that no matter how loud the external chaos gets, it does not dictate who you are. When you stop trying to control every outcome, a paradox emerges. You relinquish your rigid grip on the world, yet your actual influence becomes stronger than ever. Because you learn to trust yourself first, you become a fixed point. People can feel that grounded energy. You transform into a reliable anchor for everyone around you. Popular culture loves the myth of the singular, loud, heroic moment, but real leadership is much quieter. It is built slowly, day by day, through unwavering consistency. This consistency allows you to adapt to any new challenge without losing your identity. You learn to carry immense responsibilities, but you do it with a focus on long-term health, staying present in the work. Resilient leadership is a continuous, slow growth process. You don't need a flawless record. You just need the courage to show up, steadily and honestly, every single day.